Morning, Coach. We'll get started with Rob and then Bo.
Good morning.
Morning, Doug. Merry Christmas. First question. As you assess the Cowboys offense from what you saw with Tony Pollard back there as opposed to Zeke Elliott, how does it change and how does it look?
Well, first of all, guys, just want to say, hey, Merry Christmas to everybody, and hope everybody gets a chance to kind of spend some time with family and get away from this craziness for a day or so. But getting back to your question, I think one of the things you're seeing with the offense, you're seeing a little bit more of the RPO variety run game, not as much of the downhill power football game, run game that the Cowboys have used in the past. It's a little more mid zone RPO, the advantage throws, things like that are where they're using Pollard. Plus they're using him obviously in the passing game a little bit more. And so he's really done a nice job. He's had some really nice games here lately, and he's been a really good back for the time that Zeke's been out.
Go ahead, Bo, and then Dave.
Doug, you guys had some success with the screen game last week. What helped get that untracked, and is there any connection to defenses worrying about Jalen as in that being successful?
Yeah, I thought that was something we could actually use a little bit more against Arizona last week. We made a conscious effort to put a few more screens in the game plan, work them in practice, and had some success. And it's something that we've got to continue to try to do and use. I think it's a way to slow down pass rush, a way to just get the ball in your skill guys' hands and let them be athletes. And it's a way to use Jalen again to put the ball quickly into his hands and let him use his talent. So we'll continue to find ways of using the screen game.
Dave and then John.
Hey, Doug. Good morning. Did it take a little bit of time to get used to Jalen Hurts' personality, just because he seems like such a overly laid back guy all the time?
Well, I think with him specifically, I guess one of the things that, I guess from my standpoint and being around quarterbacks, my whole career, it's a little easier to get to know guys in the quarterback room, say, than the defensive line room, for instance, or the DB room. But it always takes a little bit of time to kind of get to know a person, to kind of see what makes him tick, how he thinks, what he likes as a quarterback, plays and things like that. And I've been real impressed with his openness, with his willingness to talk and learn and ask questions, and of course he's got a great demeanor, around the guys, around the coaches. And he's a guy that wants to learn and improve and get better. And you've heard that in his comments this week, how disappointed he was about the game this past Sunday, and that's just who he is. But being in that room more and more, and I'll tell you, the other thing, it's just hard with the way we have to do things now. With the intensive protocols, you really don't get a chance to really get to know somebody like you would want, virtually through the computer, and we only get a limited amount of time during the week to spend with our guys.
Have you ever seen him really kind of fire up on the sideline or in a meeting or anything?
Fired up from an excited fire up, and you saw it. I saw it last week in Arizona. He went up and down the bench and just kind of, especially with the offensive guys, just talking to them and getting them going a little bit, and even the interactions that I've had with him, he's energetic and gets a little fired up, and that's good to see.
John and then Martin.
Hey, Doug. Speaking of that demeanor with Jalen, we talked to him yesterday, and there was a question about some of the outside noise, obviously the quarterback controversy questions. And he mentioned you got to stay away from the rat poison. And Nick Saban kind of told him that about social media, about the outside noise. I'm curious, how often do you have to address that with the players or individuals, or does it come up much?
Comes up all the time, and it's one of the things that when I call the team up at the end of practice, I just remind them about the media obligations and social media, and just try to remind them to be smart and not to read too much into things, and just stay focused on what we're doing internally. And so it's a constant reminder, for me, but not only for me, but for me to the team, to remind them to stay away from the so-called rat poison. It's a good way of using it. But the guys are smart. They just got to understand that everybody's a reporter. Everybody has a camera. Everybody has a microphone. Out there, and even the player themselves, right? With the social media accounts that they have, they just got to be smart about the information that's being portrayed, either about themselves or the team. And so it is a constant reminder for me to stay on top of that.
Martin and then Jeff.
Hey, Doug. This week you guys activated a practice window for DeSean Jackson. And I was kind of wondering, where he is in his recovery and if it's possible that he could play either this week or next week.
Yeah, he's getting close. We activated it because for that reason we feel like he is close. He was able to get some snaps in yesterday with the offense, and we'll integrate him more today and just see where he's at. It's the first time he's been able to do any kind of football, activity with the team, more football maneuvers, running routes and blocking and things of that nature. So we'll see how he is and see how he feels today, but we'll try to ramp him up today and keep him coming.
Jeff and then Ruben.
Hey, Doug, just to follow up on Jalen's personality a little bit, when you have a guy like that in that position and he can sometimes be quiet because he's working so hard, he's young and he's very diligent, all things that we've heard about Jalen, can he sometimes come off as arrogant and do you have to reinforce with him, hey, maybe sometimes let your personality show when you're playing or when you're around the guys or when you're with the coaches?
That's I say that quite a bit with the guys. I do want their personalities to show, particularly on game day. I want them to be them, and I want the players to be who they are. I don't want them to hide behind anything or feel like they're inferior or they've got to sort of put up a persona that's not them. I just want them to be who they are, and it got them, the players, it got them to this level for a reason. And we don't want to put a blanket over it and kind of smother it, right? We want them to be free and look, if it comes off as arrogance, it's okay. As long as they can back that stuff up and play well, and it's okay, and that goes with receivers, that goes with DBs, and it goes with everybody, every position. So I just want the guys to be who they are, and it can go a long way into the shaping of the kind of the culture and the excitement of the team.
Ruben and then Ed.
Hey, Doug. Happy holidays to you. Hey, what's the value of having Alshon? You got such a young group of receivers, and then to have Alshon there, his return kind of coincided with Jalen playing. What's been the value to have that veteran receiver out there for Jalen?
The thing that I've really appreciated with Alshon, even when he wasn't out there and going through his rehab and injury, is how he has really mentored these young receivers. Taking a guy like Travis Fulgham, JJ, all the guys, Jalen Reagor, Hightower, Quez, all these guys, and really just kind of I see him, or I saw him, and he continues to do this, just talking to him and coaching him. And I guess another thing that I've really appreciated about Alshon is that he's so unselfish. he doesn't have to have every ball thrown his way. He doesn't have to score all the touchdowns. He gets excited when Miles scores or when Jalen Reagor scores or when Quez scored the other day. He gets fired up about that, and it's just he's such a pro about it. And so his value has been about mentoring and sort of coaching and teaching these young guys how to play this game.
What about on the field?
On the field, the same way. He feels good. He's obviously he's healthier now. He's got his game legs back, and he's playing aggressive. And I just think he's in a really good spot right now, and mentally and physically.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Mike.
Hey, Doug, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas.
Sunday is going to be one of those rare games where you might actually have your offensive line all together for just, I guess, the second time this year. Have you noticed any difference in practice this week with that same line developing cohesion? And then secondly, who is your reserve tackle there behind Pryor and Malata?
So the reserve tackle will be Brett Toth. He'll be the backup tackle, and then of course we got Ross and Luke Reagor. I tell you, it is the second time that we've had the starting five, together this season, and you just see the communication with these guys in practice, and they're not having to learn and look over and there's Jack Driscoll to my right, or Matt Pryor's now playing the left side, or Malata's back on the right side. So it's having that stability and that communication really goes a long way in how well these guys can play. And then of course they have to go and play on Sunday and play against another really good defensive line and a couple really good defensive ends. And it's no small task. It's hard, and yet the fact that they can be together and listen to Kelsey and the communication that goes on, and the fact that they're getting reps at that position and that position only, just makes them that much better every time they get an opportunity to go play.
We'll wrap it up with Mike, Jamie, and then Zach.
Hey, Doug, Merry Christmas. What's made Greg Ward so good in the red zone this year?
Greg, I tell you, he's such a really good route runner. Being a former quarterback, he really understands leverage. He understands coverage. He's another one that just wants to learn, and he's just a sponge out there. He's been in the league now a couple years, but still wanting to improve and get better. And he just knows how to set up defenders, and he's obviously quicker than he is probably faster. Straight line speed, but. And that's okay, because down in the red zone or on third down is where you need that. And he's been impressive, and not a real big guy, but he plays bigger than his size is, and he's having a solid year.
Jamie?
Doug, Cowboys week, it's always such a big deal. It's a big deal because of the rivalry. It's a big deal because of the crowd. It's a big deal because of the standings. And it's a big deal because of the history. And this year you've got no real crowd, and you've got a quarterback who's never played in this rivalry before. How different is Cowboys week?
Well, it's different, maybe like you said, from maybe the participants in the game, probably for both sides, both teams. But it doesn't take away anything from the rivalry from this game whatsoever. And it's something that I've reminded the guys this week about, just, not only the importance of this game, but just the history and the tradition. And I can think about the times that I've played in this rivalry, and it's a great game. It's an exciting game. It's a physical game. And there's a lot to this game, Sunday, for both teams. So, that doesn't go away. That part doesn't go away. Some of the participants might be different, but it's still football at the end of the day, and we still have to go out and execute our jobs.
And if I could follow up, what do you hope to get under the tree tomorrow?
Maybe a little rest. How about that? Maybe a little sleep. No, obviously, you think about this time of year, and having my family in town. My three sons are in town, and my wife, and just spending time with family, and that to me is what it's all about.
Go ahead, Zach.
Hey, good morning, Doug. Merry Christmas. If I can take you back to August and September, the first plan was to go with Nate Sudfeld as the number 2. When and why did you realize that you would need to change that to Jalen?
Zach, first of all, Merry Christmas to you too, and your family, and I think as a staff, we made that change is when we really started thinking about how we could use Jalen and Carson together, on the field at the same time, and how we could impact the offense that way, and so that kind of was more so the reason to bring Jalen along, back then, was just to see how we could get him on the field with Carson, and use those two together to provide explosive plays or plays that would extend drives, early in the season, and it did, and then we had to just continue to evolve that.
If I can ask a quick follow-up, how did Nate handle that whole process?
Like a professional, and listen, Nate. I know Nate was disappointed. I do know that, and rightfully so, right? I mean, obviously coming in as the number 2, and then making that change early in the season, with Jalen there. But again, he handled it like a pro, and he went out and he worked every single day as he does today, and he doesn't want to be a distraction, and wants to help the quarterback room, wants to help the team win, and he and I still talk quite a bit, X's and O's on and off the football field, and he's been a big part of that room.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.